Today, we'll explore some of the most popular and iconic Jags ever, like the iconic E-Type that turned heads in the 60s, or the modern F-Type. Also, what do you guys think of Jaguar's new look? I'm personally not a fan of it. The XK120 burst onto the scene in 1948. It was originally meant to be a show car, a testbed for their new XK engine. This 3.4-liter twin-cam inline-six produced 160 horsepower and was a marvel of engineering at the time. It was enough to propel it to a top speed of 120 miles per hour, making it the world's fastest production car at the time. The combination of the wind, the sound of the engine, and the sense of speed created an exhilarating feeling of freedom and control. But it wasn't just about the speed. The XK120 was simply gorgeous. The flowing lines, the sculpted curves, the long bonnet, and the classic Jaguar grille, it was an instant icon. Even today, it's considered one of the most beautiful cars ever made. Initially, Jaguar planned to build just 200 units, with bodies made of aluminum. But the public reaction was so overwhelming that they had to ramp up production. It came in 3 body styles: the open 2-seater, aka the Roadster, a fixed-head coupe, and a drop-head coupe. Personally, I love the classic Roadster with its low windscreen, but the coupes definitely offered more practicality. It wasn't just a pretty face, it was a capable machine that proved itself on the racetrack. It dominated numerous rallies and races, including the prestigious 24 Hours of Le Mans. Of course, it wasn't perfect. The early models had some reliability issues, and the ride was a bit harsh on bumpy roads. But those were minor quibbles compared to what it offered. In the market, it was a sensation. Its competitors included cars like the Austin Healey 100, the Triumph TR2, and the Porsche 356. But it stood out with its combination of beauty, performance, and luxury. It helped establish Jaguar as a major player in the sports car world, and it paved the way for future iconic models like the E-Type, which we will talk about a bit later. The Mark I was launched in 1955, and it was a game-changer for Jaguar. It marked their entry into the smaller luxury saloon market, a segment previously dominated by rivals like the Rover P4. It initially offered a 2.4-liter twin-cam 6-cylinder engine and produced around 112 horsepower, which was decent for its time. However, it wasn't until 1957 with the introduction of the 3.4-liter engine that the Mark I truly came alive. This larger engine churned out a healthy 210 horsepower and propelled the car to a top speed of 120 miles per hour. This was pretty impressive for a saloon in the late 1950s. It was also a beautifully balanced machine. Its combination of performance and handling made it a favorite among everyday drivers and racing enthusiasts. In fact, it also achieved considerable success in motorsport, particularly in touring car racing. From a design perspective, the Mark I exuded classic elegance. Its flowing lines, rounded headlights, and distinctive grille created a timeless silhouette. This blend of style, performance, and luxury resonated with buyers, which is why it became a commercial success for Jaguar. It also had some healthy competition. The Rover P4, as mentioned earlier, was a key rival, offering a more traditional approach to luxury. Other competitors included the Armstrong Sapphire and the Daimler Conquest. But the Jaguar stood out with its sporty character and an undeniable charisma. Today, the Mark I is a highly sought-after classic car. Prices for well-maintained examples can range anywhere from around $20,000 to over $60,000, depending on the condition and the engine size. I actually have a deep appreciation for the Mark I because it represented a pivotal moment in Jaguar's history. The E-Type is not just a car, it's an icon, a spirit of the 60s. It was launched in 1961 and was an instant hit. It's rumored that Enzo Ferrari himself called it the most beautiful car ever made. If he didn't say it, he was definitely thinking it. Under that gorgeous hood lurked a beast. Initially, it packed a 3.8-liter inline-six engine derived from Jaguar's legendary D-type racers. This engine, with its twin camshafts and triple SU carburetors, produced 265 horsepower, which was enough to propel it to a top speed of 150 miles per hour. It was a true supercar, and all this for a price that significantly undercut its rivals at the time. Speaking of rivals, the E-Type had a few, but none could quite match its combination of beauty, performance, and value. The Aston Martin DB4 was perhaps its closest competitor, offering similar levels of performance and exclusivity, but at a much higher price. The Chevrolet Corvette was another contender, with its brawny American V8, but it lacked the Jaguar's sophistication and finesse. The E-Type evolved over its lifespan, with 3 distinct series produced between 1961 and 1975. The Series 1, with its covered headlights and small taillights, is considered by many to be the purest and most desirable. The Series 2, introduced in 1968, featured open headlights and larger taillights, along with some minor mechanical updates. The final iteration, the Series 3, arrived in 1971 with a powerful 5.3-liter V12 engine, flared wheel arches, and a more luxurious interior. The V12 packed a serious punch. It could do 0 to 60 in less than 7 seconds. But the added weight of the larger engine somewhat dulled the car's handling prowess. Nevertheless, it remained a formidable performer, and its styling continued to turn heads wherever it went. Its impact on the automotive world was profound. It democratized high performance, bringing supercar thrills within reach of a wider audience. The XJ6, especially the first generation of XJ, is a classic beauty that still turns heads today. I've always had a soft spot for this one. While it didn't have the raw power of some of its German competitors, it offered a unique blend of refinement and performance that was hard to match. It was initially offered with a 2.8-liter XK6 inline-six engine, but it quickly became apparent that a larger engine was needed. Enter the 4.2-liter, which then became the mainstay for the lineup. This robust engine delivered a healthy dose of horsepower and torque, making it a true driver's car. It wasn't just about the raw power, it was about how that power was delivered. The sophisticated suspension system, with independent front and rear setups, provided a comfortable ride with decent handling. Whether cruising on the highway or navigating the country roads, it offered a refined driving experience. It was an instant hit when it was first launched in 1968, and it quickly became a status symbol. It also faced some stiff competition from other luxury car manufacturers, but it held its own, carving out a niche for itself with its unique blend of British charm. Over its nearly 2-decade production run, it underwent several updates and revisions. The Series 1 introduced the world to its iconic design, with its elegant lines and distinctive quad headlights. The Series 2 brought refinements to the interior and exterior, along with improvements to the engine and suspension. The Series 3 saw further updates to the styling, as well as the introduction of a more powerful 5.3-liter V12 engine, also known as the XJ12 variant. These early XJs were not just some cars, they were a statement. The XK8 was a true icon of the late 90s and early 2000s. It was a grand tourer that oozed elegance and power, a worthy successor to the aging XJS. Launched in 1996, it came with Jaguar's newly developed 4-liter AJ V8 engine, a 32-valve masterpiece that delivered 290 horsepower. This engine was a game-changer for Jaguar, marking their return to the V8 after years of relying on inline-six engines. The XK8 was a beauty to behold. Its flowing lines, inspired by the iconic E-Type, were both classic and modern. The interior was a haven of luxury, with leather, wood trims, and all the creature comforts of the time. In 1998, Jaguar unveiled the XKR, a supercharged version, and the power jumped to a formidable 370 horsepower. It was a true performance machine, capable of sprinting from 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds. The XK8 and R were both a hit and were praised for their stunning looks, luxurious interiors, and impressive performance. They competed with the likes of the Mercedes-Benz SL, Porsche 911, and Aston Martin DB7. While the Aston Martin offered a more exclusive badge, and the Porsche boasted sharper handling, the Jaguar held its own with its blend of performance, luxury, and value. In 2002, Jaguar updated both models with a larger 4.2-liter engine. Power increased to 300 horsepower for the XK8 and 400 for the XKR, and both models continued to be produced until 2006. They represented a golden era for Jaguar, a time when the brand was rediscovering its sporting heritage, while still maintaining its reputation for luxury and refinement. The XF was a sleek and a sophisticated machine that roamed the streets from 2007 to 2015. It was a bold departure from the retro styling cues of its predecessor, like the S-Type, embracing a modern design that was meant to be both elegant and aggressive. But some people felt that its design strayed too far from the brand's classic styling cues. But I really liked its design when I first saw one, and I still do. It offered a range of powerful engines. There was a 3-liter V6, while those craving more power could opt for the 4.2-liter V8 or even a supercharged 5-liter V8 in the XFR variant. This beast churned out an impressive 510 horsepower, launching it from 0 to 60 in a mere 4.7 seconds. This XF was a critical and a commercial success for Jaguar, and garnered praise from automotive journalists and consumers alike. Its main competitors included the BMW 5 Series, the Mercedes-Benz E-Class, and the Audi A6, but again, it held its own with its unique blend of British charm. However, no car is perfect, and the XF had its share of quirks. There were a couple of reliability issues, particularly with the early models. The touchscreen infotainment system was really slow and clunky to use. And while it offered plenty of space for front passengers, rear seat legroom was a bit tight compared to some of its German rivals. Despite these minor shortcomings, it remains a highly desirable car in the used market. It offered a compelling combination of style, performance, and luxury, all wrapped up in a distinctly British package. The F-Type was first unveiled in 2013, and it ticked all the right boxes for me, like the stunning design, powerful engines, and the undeniable Jaguar pedigree. It's a car that turns heads wherever it goes, with its long hood and aggressive headlights that scream performance. Under the hood, it offered a punchy 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that put out a respectable 296 horsepower. But the real stars of the show were the supercharged V6 and V8s. The V6 churned out anywhere from 335 to 395 horsepower, while the monstrous 5-liter supercharged V8 offered up to 567 horsepower in the SVR variant. These engines delivered some serious performance, with the SVR capable of hitting 60 miles per hour in just 3.5 seconds. But the F-Type is more than just brute force. It's a beautifully balanced machine with sharp handling and a responsive chassis. The exhaust note is another highlight, especially on the V8 models, with a deep roar that sounds really good. In terms of market reception, it was generally well received by both critics and consumers. However, some reviewers found the ride to be a bit too hard and the interior wasn't quite as spacious or practical as some of its rivals. Speaking of rivals, it went up against some stiff competition, including the Porsche 911, the Chevrolet Corvette, and the Mercedes-AMG GT. Sadly, Jaguar has announced that the F-Type will be discontinued after 2024. This marks the end of an era for Jaguar, as the F-Type is the last of its kind. A true sports car with a focus on pure driving pleasure,